The last to come that way was a shepherd, clad in a shepherd's cloak and bearing a shepherd's staff. He had toiled all day through the rocky pass, and must now seek a shelter for the night. Gentle he was and quiet of speech, but his bearing had the signs of authority and decision, so that when he spoke, Sir Constant said in his heart, "Surely he is a chief shepherd." "Shelter I will give thee gladly," said the well-warden. "Here is water and food, but first look into the well and see what lies therein." So the shepherd looked, and when he raised his head, they saw in his eyes a reflection of those deep, still waters. "It is pure," he answered gently. "I see plainly, O warden, the emblem of thy king." "Ay, for this is one of his wells," said the warden. "Drink in the king's name." "In the king's name," said the shepherd reverently, and after that he took food with them and joined in their talk. "It was but lately," said Constant, "that I came from the lower valley where the shepherds tend their flocks. It comes to me now that I saw thee there." "Even so," answered the shepherd. "I come from that fertile valley called the Place of Fair Waters, where I have many flocks." Then said the warden, "Where is the Place of Fair Waters that so many speak of? When I came on this path there was rocky wilderness above, and swamp and marshland below." "So it was upon a time," said the shepherd, "when this well was unkept and uncleansed. But there came at last a warden, who daily guarded the well and opened the channel for its overflow, so that this place might be fair and clean. So in a while the overflow became a brook, and anon a powerful stream. This gathered to its bosom other streams, till at last there was a valley wide and fruitful, through which a noble river ran joyously to the great sea, and so it is today." The old man listened, wondering, for the voice of the shepherd had the thrill of music, but he spoke still more. "So clear and noble is the stream that travelers say, surely this flows from a royal well, one of those eternal springs which the great king has set for the help of the people. There are the children, too, who play by the stream and cry, 'See, the face of the king smiles in the water.' I have walked there and seen these things." Wondering, the old man pondered these sayings. Slowly his eyes brightened as a fond thought came to his lips in words. "Do they speak of me? Do they know who guards the well?" Tenderly the shepherd looked into the old man's eyes. Tenderly he answered him, "Nay, they know nothing of thee. What they know is the king's bounty. What they see is the king's smile." Then Constant looked, fearing to see a shadow fall upon the old man's eager hope. But the old man was looking into the shepherd's face, and the shadow never came. Instead his hope brightened into joy as he clasped his hands together and cried, "And that is enough! Oh, my heart, surely it is enough! It is 10,000 times more than enough!" And from that moment some thought which had troubled him long troubled him no more. Then, as the evening shadows gathered in the gorge and the stillness deepened, the shepherd said, "Truly, this place is a lonely place. It is as lonely as the post held so long ago by that good knight whom we call Sir Nameless." They looked to him to tell them more, and he told them, his voice full of tenderness at the first, yet presently strong as with the ring of battle. When he was a young knight, he was eager-hearted as the young should be, fired with the hope of youth, and fortified by the courage of faith. He dreamed of high adventure, yet not for his own glory, but for the king's. What men had dared, he could dare. What men had done, he could do. So he set out, desiring some great charge in which he might prove himself worthy. But hear the wonder of the story of Sir Nameless. In a few days he found among the hills a lonely outpost of the king's, so lonely that its guardian's heart had failed, and he had gone away. But it seemed to Sir Nameless that the post must be held, and he resolved that he would hold it till another guardian came. But no guardian came to hold it, not that day, nor the next, nor through many days. And since the post might not be left, it came to pass that this good knight held it alone for many years, unknown and unregarded. Other men he saw go by to do the great deeds that he might have done, but for him there was no release, no call to nobler duty. So passed the years of his strength and prime, till his force was spent, and his youthful hopes abandoned. Nay, better had he forgotten them, for their memory was a torment to an eager and stormy heart, a question that he could not answer. But never for a day was that lonely post left unguarded. The shepherd paused as though in sadness, yet there was a smile upon his lips. "Sad and strange thy tale," said Sir Constant. "Tell us more, I pray." "Sad indeed, as men might see it, was the lot of Sir Nameless," answered the shepherd. "But I have told it only as men might see it. Now hear how it seemed to the great king, for that lonely outpost was his, and he had chosen Sir Nameless to be its guardian. Here is a lonely post, he had said, set upon a rocky road and overshadowed by gloomy hills, so cold and cheerless that the guardian has wearied of his duty. Yet it is a guardian post for many leagues of the road. The need here is for a knight, keen of honour and immovable in courage. For in this lonely place he will be open to attack by the Black Knight, the sorcerer of many faces, and by the whisperer, Master Envy, with his evil brood, and by that subtle enchanter, the Grey Questioner. So the king had chosen Sir Nameless, knowing his name full well, and had shown him that lonely charge, and he had kept it faithfully, despite the torment of an eager and stormy heart, despite the daily assaults of the Black Knight, never so dangerous as when he came disguised as high desire and noble purpose. But since that eager and stormy heart was a lowly heart, he did not know that his name was high and honour on the king's roll. Again the shepherd paused, smiling at some fair picture in his mind, and this time they did not question him, for they saw that this was to him a well-loved story. And a while he went on. So the years sped to the last day, when Sir Nameless must deliver up his charge, and on that day came the Black Knight once more, with the last temptation of his subtle tongue. "It was not a great task," he said, "but thou hast served much people by it. Surely some honour is due to thee for this." But Sir Nameless was loyal to the end, and rebuked him instantly. "Nay," he said, "not to me, but to the king only." Whereupon the Black Knight left him, to come no more. But Sir Nameless, not knowing that he was a victor, went to his rest and dreamed. He dreamed that he was in the king's city, the city of light beyond the eastern hills, standing to hear the roll call of the king's knight. The roll was called in a voice that seemed to ring out over land and sea, and to conquer time and space, and as the great names were spoken, great voices answered, with joy that might not be measured. But as Sir Nameless listened in wonder, for he loved those great names well, he heard one say at his side, "Be ready, sir, for thy name is on the roll." And lo, ere he might wonder more, a name was called, his own name, and he knew the king's voice, for it spoke to his heart and told him that he had never been forgotten. So in his dreams he gave a glad cry, "Hear, Lord!" And when he cried thus he woke, and found that it was not a dream. Now the voice of the shepherd at the end of the story was filled with gentle music, so that the heart of the warden was touched and moved. So in a while he said wistfully that Sir Nameless had been a true and gallant knight, and that he would have loved to meet him. But so lowly was his heart that he did not dream that he might take that story as his own. Whereat the shepherd smiled again, well pleased, and there was silence for a piece. But presently the warden touched Sir Constant, and murmured in his ear, "Who is this shepherd guest of ours? Surely he is the one who was here on the night that brought me the vision of the face, but not then only, for I feel that I have seen him many times." Then Sir Constant soothed the old man, supposing that his thoughts were failing, and as the shadows were closing down he bore him into the house and laid him upon his couch. Then the warden said to the shepherd, "I am honoured to have thee in my house this night, in the king's name. For thee is the guest chamber ready, and this good knight will watch with me." "Not so," said the shepherd. "Let thy comrade take the guest chamber if he will. I must watch with thee, as I have watched with many. It is for this that I come." Now they saw that the shepherd would not be denied, even had they the will to deny him. But he spoke with authority so that they could not do so. Therefore it was agreed that both should watch that night. Yet when the warden had fallen asleep, the shepherd bade Sir Constant also rest, for he would take the first watch. Therefore in the second hour Sir Constans sank into slumber gentle and peaceful, yet so light that he knew all that passed in the chamber. For the voice of the shepherd was one that might reach men's heart even in their sleep. It was about midnight that the warden was awakened, and it was a whisper that wakened him, the whisper of a name. He looked up in great wonder. "Who spoke my name?" he cried. "It was I," said the shepherd, "for I know it well. On the king's roll it is high in honour." "What is this?" said the warden. "How canst thou know?" "Who should better know?" smiled the shepherd. "I am chief shepherd of the valley of Toil, and I water my flocks by the king's waters. Surely the guardians of the king's wells are known to me, and thus thy charge is one of the noblest and most bountiful of the king's wells." The old man gazed with great questions upon his lips, unspoken, and the shepherd said, "Never for an hour wast thou forgotten, for I came often to see him who kept the well. On the first day I came, and on every day with every soul in need, and when they said, 'Here is the well warden,' I said in heart, 'Here is our good knight, the keeper of the king's well, whose name is held in honour in the great city.' For the king forgets none who are faithful, and has much love for those nameless knights who keep his lonely outposts, making beautiful many leagues of the splendid way, and feeding many flocks by the fair waters of the king's bounty." Still the old man gazed, full of wonder. Now he raised himself to speak. "But, sir, I had no battle to fight, such as I had dreamed of, and my heart was ever full of discontent." "Nay," said the shepherd, smiling, "have I not told thee? That was the battle of the Black Knight, never so perilous as in disguise of high desire and noble purpose. This day did he leave thee forever. But see now what gift I have for thee to wear in the king's presence." Wanly the old man smiled, yet his eyes shone, for then the shepherd took a sword, a gallant sword, and laid it at his right hand. A shield also he brought, a shield whose emblem glowed and burned, and this he laid at the warden's left side. Then he brought a helmet, strong and knightly, and a shining breastplate, and laid these also beside him. "See now thy arms," he said, "how the helmet gleams and the shield glows. These are the arms that a nameless knight has won to wear in the king's city. But hearken now, and find that thy name is known indeed, for the king calls the roll." Then deep was the silence that fell, while the knight nameless seemed to listen. But in a moment he stirred, and grasped his hilt, and gave a great cry that rang joyously through the silent house, and out to the lonely hillside and the well. "Here, Lord,